Hello and welcome back everyone to the video series Diggy Show on CBS that has locked in its final competitors, the Elite 8 that'll be running the finals for the Challenge USA Season 2. But before we can talk about the finals, let's talk about what happened in this week's episode, the Challenge USA Season 2, Episode 13. And wow, this episode, not my favorite, not in the least bit. I have a lot to say about this episode, but first let's start off where last episode left off, and that was Cassidy winning against Michelle in the elimination, staying in this game and coming back to the challenge house. She is very happy to have won her third elimination, but she knows her butt's on the line. Like, she needs to win this next daily challenge to stay safe. The next morning, we jump into a conversation between Josh and Fessel, and they're talking about the finals, how much they want to make it to the finals, playing alongside each other. We get this confessional from Fessel where he talks about his friendship with Josh, their friendship, how it's evolved over the course of the years, and how great it would be to run the finals together. And then right after that, we get a confessional from Josh talking about how he would love to win these finals and how the money isn't necessarily for him, but it's for his family. And having these two confessionals back to back sent red alarms in my mind, to the point where it's like these two players are talking about the finals a little bit too much in the early part of this episode, to the point where either one or both of them will be in trouble this week. But that's more of me looking too much into the edit and kind of metagaming the edit. Then we move over to a conversation between Cory and Chanel, where Chanel is doing Cory's hair, and they're talking about what the finals would mean to both of them, especially Chanel. According to my stats, out of everybody who is left on the season up to this point, Chanel has the least amount of confessionals. So seeing her have so many confessionals in the beginning of this episode also sent red alarms to me. Everybody dons their challenge gear, meets up with TJ in a field on a runway, looking up with two hot air balloons anchored to a balance beam. I remember this daily challenge being in the promo and being like, I wonder what they're going to be doing. They're going to be transferring something from each basket to another. They're going to have to do as many rounds in a certain number of time. And that's not the case at all. TJ first tells everybody that a win here is imperative because the two people that win will punch their tickets to the finals. And also it's very important to win because you get to stay safe during this double elimination. That means 4 people in total will be going in and 2 people will be leaving. And then that's locking in the Elite 8 heading into the finals. Then TJ goes into the instructions for this week's daily challenge called Burst Your Bubble. 2 players at a time will be climbing up a rope ladder, getting into a hot air balloon basket. Then 1 player at a time will try to traverse the balance beam, going from one hot air balloon to the other. Once you just touch the basket of the other hot air balloon, your time is stopped. And that's it. That's the whole daily challenge. Watching players go up a ladder and then across a balance beam. I'm sure this looked great on paper. I'm sure this looked great on the day of the challenge, that people were looking up really high up at those hot air balloons tethered to that balance beam, and it's like, wow, this is going to be incredible to do. And I'm sure it was fun to do, but as an audience member, this was really bland and boring. Like, this is it. This is the final daily challenge of the season. We should be going out with a bang. This was a low simmer, in my opinion, for this daily challenge. I mean, there's nothing much to look at. Everybody gets across the balance beam. Everybody is able to make it up the rope ladder. The only person that really had a difficult time was Michaela, who is very afraid of heights. She was a little nervous, fearful while in the basket before going across the balance beam, but that fear helped motivate her to get across as soon as possible, and she was able to lock in that win, her third win on the season, and locking in her spot to the finals just ahead of Tori. And then for the men's side, it came down to Chris and Fessel, and Chris was able to just sneak in that last win, winning over Fessel by 3 seconds. With Michaela and Chris going back to the challenge house, having to nominate 2 people to definitively go into this week's elimination, the guys' side is all chaotic. Whoever was going to win this daily was most likely going to nominate Chris, but now Chris is completely safe, and now people are feeling the heat. They are feeling the tension. You have Josh, who hasn't seen a single elimination on the season. You have Fessel, who has barely even had a vote on this season, and Cory hasn't seen a single elimination on the season. So you have a lot of up in the air variables here going into the nominees, the hopper, the secret votes, and moving forward. But the first things that happen when we get back to the challenge house is between Fessel and Josh. Josh is already mentally preparing that he will be going into the elimination this week. Chris just won last episode. He already said my name. Why not just say it again? So Josh is trying to get mentally prepared. Fessel, knowing that this is the final elimination, was like, normally the challenge likes to save the hall brawls to the end. So he's trying to give Josh some pointers on the hall brawl. So Fessel is trying to help out his friend Josh as much as he can, hoping that it's not going to be him going in against Josh. Now, let's go to the nomination ceremony where we have Michaela and Chris, and I'm thinking, okay, this is it. Michaela is finally going to be able to do whatever she wants because this is the final elimination. I mean, every time Michaela had won solo-wise, she's always brought up Tori's name, and I was thinking, this is it. I mean, there is no splashback after this. There is no worry about another daily challenge. We're in the finals. It's no holds bar. Problem is that Michaela made a deal with Tori before the Michelle and Cassidy elimination that whoever came back from that elimination would instantly be nominated right back into elimination. And I was thinking, what? Are we really? This is the final elimination, and we're really going to just nominate Cassidy again? Apparently, according to the Challenge Official podcast, Tori and Chanel both confirmed that Desi and Chanel talked to Michaela before the nomination ceremony, kind of pushing to put Cassidy in and keep Tori out of it. I'm sure that was safety precautions for Desi and Chanel, as they did not want to be kind of possibly on the chopping block going up against Tori. And I understand that, but this is the final. The deals should be no more. There should be no more deals. Why is there deals even being processed at this point? There's nothing anybody can do for you moving forward, because guess what? Whoever you're saving now, you're going to be facing off in the finals, and you better pray and hope that your abilities are better than the people that you are willing to go into the finals with. You know, you got to have some self-confidence. You got to have confidence in your own abilities at this point. If you're still honoring deals to have people just have free passes or an easier path to the finals, that's just my opinion. Chris does not take this opportunity to just say Josh's name again. He decides he's going to put Fessel directly into the elimination, and I commend Chris for that. Not saying that I don't commend Michaela's decision. It's just head-scratching to me. Coming back into the challenge house, this is where we hear a lot more deals that are being made and have been made, and who will keep them. Bananas and Josh are talking, and Josh does not want to say Bananas' name at all. He doesn't want to say Johnny's name so much that he swears on his family member's life that he will not put Johnny's name in the hopper. But there's also a balancing act here with Josh, because he knows that Fessel doesn't want to go up against Cory in, say, a physical elimination, aka a hall brawl. So now Josh is thinking back and forth. I want to honor Fessel's wishes, and I don't want to say Johnny's name. This is so tough for Josh. I mean, he is talking to Bananas. He's talking to Fessel. Fessel is annoyed while trying to take a nap, getting prepared to go into the elimination, because he's like, dude, I don't want to go up against Cory. Send me in against Bananas. He's a multi-time champ, 7-time champ. And I would rather him not be in the finals, but also I want what he deems the easiest opponent going into a possible hall brawl. But Josh is going back and forth. I mean, this is the toughest decision Josh has ever had to make, to the point where when we get to the secret voting, I thought that there was a better chance of Josh burning a vote on himself than him voting for either Johnny or Cory. Now, it's funny to hear at this point that Johnny thinks that he has 2 votes in the bag, in his back pocket, with Josh and Tori. Johnny's like, we should just vote for Cory. He's the odd man out at this point. So Bananas thinks that Tori is easily going to vote for Cory. Josh should vote for Cory. But we hear from Tori that she made a deal with Fessel and Cory so early in the game, that Fessel kept Tori safe. Cory kept Tori safe when they went into power and didn't nominate her to go into elimination. So now Tori, with her vote, has to make good on those deals that Cory and Fessel made good on. Now she has to do her part, and so she has to vote for Josh in this upcoming vote. We get to the secret vote, we see some people putting some balls in, and Josh is crying even more. Josh instantly goes over to Bananas and apologizes because he voted for him. Bananas is upset. And that is like downplaying it. Bananas is upset. He is nervous. I think he's a little scared. You know, I mean, I'm sure Bananas watched season 36 Double Agents and saw what Fessel was willing to do against Nelson, someone he deemed a friend at that point, and he was playing dirty against him, and then worried about going to the hospital with what he saw him do to Kyle in the final hall brawl right before the finals in Double Agents. So Bananas is nervous. He's angry, he's probably shocked, appalled, and now nervous about going to a possible hospital visit, being DQ'd from the season, going into an elimination against Fessel. As you can tell, this was pretty much the Josh show for basically the whole episode. I was going to say after the daily challenge and on, but honestly, it was before the daily challenge and on that we were getting so much of Josh and Josh's emotional journey and roller coaster of just voting for Bananas. We get to the votes, and the women votes are 2 votes for Tori, 1 vote for Desi, 5 for Chanel. Men votes are 1 for Cory, 2 for Josh, and 5 for Bananas. Chanel is picked for the women, so I'm sure Bananas is thinking, okay, well, I got way more votes than everybody else. Chanel with 5 votes, the same votes as me, just got picked. I'm most likely going in against this behemoth of a man, Fessel. Come to find out, it was Josh who was picked to go up against Fessel in the hall brawl, but this is not just your ordinary hall brawl. This is a hall brawl with couch cushions and a puzzle at the end. I understand that they're trying to level the playing field. They don't want people getting injured or getting concussed like Leo did in the Challenge USA Season 1 or get any fingers broken like Kyle in Season 36. So the initial contact will be made using these couch cushions, crash pads, whatever you want to call them. And when you hit, then you can drop your pads and then you can start wrestling. And then you have to get all the way to the cross. It's not just a sprint to the end to press a button. Now you have to do a kid puzzle that you can easily game the system with, as we will see in the men's heat. But first we'll go to Cassidy and Chanel's heat, where this is what Cassidy wanted. You know, Cassidy called out Chanel a couple of episodes ago. Cassidy has been in a ton of eliminations, 3 eliminations, came out the other side, and she felt like that was unfair, especially when Chanel had not seen a single elimination, and now here she is going up against her in a hall brawl. And for both of these women, it's put up or shut up, because both of them had this rivalry this whole season. Both have had a lot to say about each other, and now we will get a definitive answer of who will take it and who will make it into the finals. I like this storyline, but the way that this elimination plays out is rather boring. It takes the sting out of the hall brawl. Now, I am all for keeping players safe. I don't want to see players like launch into each other and get concussions. Like, keep the crash pads if you want. But having this puzzle at the end of this, it makes everything like come to a screeching halt. These players collide with each other, kind of wrestle a little bit, then they just pass each other and do this light jog over to this puzzle to where it's just 2 people in football pads going up to TJ being like 4, 5, 6. I understand where they're coming from with putting in all of these different things, but it just muddies the whole system up and kind of makes everything not fun and a little bit lame. Chanel is able to count the adequate amount of squares in this puzzle before Cassidy can, and Chanel locks in her final ticket. She is heading to the finals alongside her Secret Garden members of Desi and Michaela, as well as the vet Tori. Now we're on to Josh versus Fessel, and this was a little bit more of a heated wrestling match. I actually was worried that Josh was going to get pummeled in this elimination because I didn't think his head was in it, you know? We already know that Josh isn't the best at eliminations, at pressure situations. He does not have a good record. He does not have even a mediocre record. He has a pretty bad record in eliminations. And now going into a hall brawl after he was beating himself up the whole week, the whole time. Not only that, but the added pressure of you're making the finals or you're not. if you win this elimination or lose this elimination, you're going up against a friend. I thought Fessel was easily going to take him out, and that was going to be a huge blowout loss for Josh. But it was actually kind of competitive in the hall brawl where the two men were kind of doing this like Oklahoma football drills. Then they got past each other, and then that's where we get this like workaround with Fessel where he briefly looked at the puzzle initially, ran up to TJ with a number, and then every single time he went back, he would not look at the puzzle. He would just touch the board to kind of get a reset on whether he can guess or not, ran back to TJ, and just kept going up the increments of one until he got it. And honestly, you can't take anything away from Fessel because he is in the finals and he was able to work smarter, not harder. But I don't know. Again, this elimination already wasn't my favorite. It wasn't very thrilling or fun to watch. And then at the end, to watch somebody just game the system and game the puzzle kind of just makes me feel like, cool, I guess I'm glad that was what we're leaving off of heading into the finals. Hopefully the finals are a lot more exciting and thrilling to watch compared to this episode, because I just felt like everything just fell quite a bit flat, you know? I mean, the daily challenge was just all right. This elimination, again, I can understand where they're coming from. It just wasn't as thrilling as like a normal hall brawl or just a little bit modified hall brawl. This was a complete modification. And I thought it just felt really, really flat to me. And then having us follow Josh the whole episode, crying about who to vote for all of it to end up completely moot at the end of the day, because he was the one that went into elimination and lost anyway. So it's just like, all right, cool. I mean, I don't know what to take from this episode. I mean, I'm glad Chanel was able to win. I think this elimination win will help boost her confidence going into the finals, because I know that she wasn't loving her performances on some of the daily challenges that she thought she could possibly get a win in. So I think that will help boost her up. I loved Cassidy on the season. She was a fighter going into 4 eliminations and winning 3 of them. And Fessel just getting it done, you know, putting together a really strong game. But that is it for this week's episode. I mean, there's not much else to say about it. We have our 8 finalists set to take on a 2-day final, it sounds like. But next week will be the last episode for the Challenge USA Season 2. We will be crowning the winners. It'll be very, very exciting. I want to ask, what did everybody think about this episode? What did you think about the daily challenge? What did you think about the elimination? Let me know down in the comment section below. Did you feel like the competitions this week were meh? Or did you actually like them and maybe I'm being a little too harsh? Let me know down in the comment section below. And what do you think about the finals and these 8 competitors? Who are you rooting for? Who are you rooting against? And who do you think is going to win the finals? Let me know anything and everything down in the comment section below. I want to give a special shout out, thank you to everyone who supports me over at patreon.com/angelcakevids. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your generosity. Thank you. And thank you to everyone who is watching this video up to this point. I'll be back really, really soon with more Challenge USA 2 content, more challenge content, more content in general. But until then, peace.